I had trouble taking criticism more when it came to my writing than my art. And I think it's just the writing was just too precious. It was just too sacred, I think, for me at the time. So I'm just glad that I picked it back up later on in my life because I realized when I wasn't doing writing, a part of me just felt like it was missing.
Hey everyone, this is Kim O'Neill from the Every Day is a New Day podcast and live show, and you're listening to the Going North podcast with the hilarious Dom Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his show so you don't miss any episodes, and remember, every day is always a new day.
And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, it's the Going North podcast. And we got another super special, awesome human for you today, folks. That's right, indeed. One of the rarities, because my goodness, today's guest in particular, she's a full-time freelance illustrator and designer, folks. That's right. Not only someone that knows how to write the books, but also design the books. And she lives all the way out in the wonderful state of Ohio. That's right, indeed. And she graduated from the Cleveland Institute of Art, where she also teaches continuing education courses for teens and adults. So there you go, folks, the T&A, y'all. And she launched her own design for publishing business in 2021, and it's called The Call, y'all. That's right, The Call. Create a way, design and publishing to act as a book shepherd, helping other authors through the self-publishing process. So let's give it up for Ms. WF herself, the wonderful and friendly Wendy Fedan. How you doing today, Wendy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks a lot, Don.
Oh yeah, that's right
Yeah.
indeed. That's right. Yeah, I told her 5 hours ago she was trapped, and we're still talking. So yeah, it has been that long.
Oh man.
That's right.
Yeah, Dom, I'm so happy to be on your show. This is great. I'm looking forward to talking about all kinds of authory things and illustratory things and whatever we want to talk about here.
Oh yeah, that's right. We could talk about snickerdoodle cookie eating penguins for all we know. It's all
Exactly.
good. It's
Yeah.
all gravy. It's all gravy. But hey, speaking of gravy, I'm pretty sure I forgot all sorts of gravy because my goodness, all introductions aren't allowed to be 76 days long, and I probably forgot 73 days of content. So am I filling in any cavities I may have missed about you, Wendy?
I think you got pretty much. Well, I mean, I also started a brand new podcast, but that's it's very fledgling at this point. It's like so it's Create a Way with Art Abundance is what the name of it is, and I'm still working on it. Got a handful of episodes out there, but it's like, yeah, I'm one of those people who just can't seem to just do one thing. Yeah, I keep adding to it and loading myself up, and I just can't help it. I can't stop from doing it. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I'm talking about. So did you just come out the womb creating? Did you like make these wonderful handbags at the age of like 2 weeks or something?
Well, I always loved art and writing. Like I basically, I ever since I can remember, I started writing and illustrating at the same time. I just remember when I was a kid, my teacher handed out these little books that we were supposed to fill out with, journaling, but top half of the book was blank and the bottom half of the book had lines. So I couldn't just leave the top half of the book blank. So of course I had to illustrate everything that I wrote. so so I really I always so I just grew up knowing that I wanted to write and illustrate stories. I just grew up loving to do it, and every once in a while, I felt brave enough to actually read in front of my class, and took a long time for my confidence to grow to share more with people. But I knew it was something that was inside me that had to come out. And it's just continued my entire life, writing and illustrating. So yeah, those are my two passions that have just grown through my whole life. And one thing that's kind of funny is like I actually ended up when it was time to decide what career choice, I was what path to go on. I decided that art was going to be my career path because writing was a little too precious for me. I just felt like I couldn't. I I I, I had trouble taking criticism more when it came to my writing than my art. And I think it's just the writing was just too precious. It was just too sacred, I think, for me at the time. So I'm just glad that I picked it back up later on in my life because I realized when I wasn't doing writing, a part of me just felt like it was missing, even though I was still doing my art. There's this something missing when you realize you're not doing everything that you're meant to be doing, you know? Yeah. I'm sure you
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like, oh crap. It feels like there's a piece missing. It's like that meme with the puzzle person, the puzzle human with the missing piece, then they put something silly in the one piece they're holding.
That's
Like $1
right.
billion. Like that's the big piece that's missing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So yeah, as soon as I was able to fill up that empty piece, I realized, yes, this is what's been missing. This is what's been missing. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is what's making me feel more alive and fulfilled. The energy started to rise up inside me, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely what I've been needing to fill myself up with. It makes me feel more balanced when I'm doing my writing and my art. So I always know when I'm not doing my writing, I feel that imbalance going on. And yeah,
Ah, so feel like a penguin, huh?
yeah,
Without any actual arms, huh? It's like,
exactly.
no. That's right
Oh,
indeed. But hey, the good news is you picked it back up and you published, if I'm not mistaken, at least two recent teen novels, right?
yeah, yeah. These teen novels that are called Somewhere in Between is the name of the series. And it started out as a way for me to kind of work out the grief that I was feeling with my father passing away because per his wishes, he did not have a funeral or a memorial service. And this is like 5 years ago. But my first book, I wrote it, I think, a couple of years after he passed because I was still going through that frustration of not feeling a sense of closure because of not having any of that. So that was my way of kind of paying tribute to my dad and having that closure because one of my characters was going I decided that one of my characters was going to go through the same thing, and that was my way of vicariously living through my character and helping, having her allowing her to have the closure that I did not have and that I wished for. So that really helped me out a lot. But it was more, the book is more about a lot more fun than that. But that was my little purpose of actually starting to write the book. And but I always knew I wanted to write this story about these teen characters in some kind of paranormal situation. So that's what it's about. It's this paranormal story about these three teenagers. One of them is dead. So one of them's a ghost. That's not giving anything away because it happens in the first chapter.
Ah,
So
one of those. Okay.
yes, yes, yes. But it's got a really big like Stranger Things kind of vibe. It's kind of like this cross between this like a book called This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti and Stranger Things, which is two very different things. So it's got like the angels and demons kind of stuff going on in the background. And then on the surface, there are all these fun teenage characters who are bickering with each other and picking on each other and having a good time. So Yeah. Um, so I just fell in love with my characters when I started writing them. And now I've got the two books, working on the third one in this series. And, just they're continuing to grow, continuing to learn through this paranormal adventure that they're having, learning about, and the psychic character, she keeps learning about how to use her powers, and it's uh it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Yeah, yeah. Max, and actually, my main character who's dead, the issue that he comes across that's really difficult for him is that he's a teenage character lost in the afterlife, and he's like having a lot of struggles figuring out what to do in this new experience that he's going through. And unfortunately, the only living human being that he's able to communicate with just happens to be a girl that he used to tease in junior high. And she
Ooh.
happens, she's a closet, psychic medium. So it's very fun. I had so much fun with my characters. I love them. Yeah.
I know that's gotta suck for the characters. Like, crap, I've been teasing her. But she's my
Yeah.
only way to the other world. No. Darn it. She's my phone booth and I can't use it that well. No.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
Oh
man.
man. Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
but sorry for the loss of your father, though, because that's definitely rough. I actually lost my father back in 2017 as well. Definitely some
oh.
rough stuff. So, yeah.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. It's definitely difficult. So I'm the only thing that's good about it is that now I can relate to other people who've gone through that same loss. You know, now I finally know what it's like, and I know what to say and what not to say. It's really hard to know how to speak to people who have lost people that you haven't lost yet. So yeah, I think that's the good that comes out of those things. At least now you can have that sense of understanding for other people. Yeah. Mm.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And some higher levels of creativity with those novels as well.
Exactly. I think that's the wonderful thing about being creative people. We can use our art to work things out and as a form of therapy for ourselves. And it's just oh, it's so wonderful. And That's something I like to encourage other people to do is to try some creative way to express themselves when they're going through things, whether or not it's journaling or I don't know, just trying an art class or something, and just finding that creative part inside of you, because I feel like that's, you know, our creative souls just really, I think those are the parts of us that really help work things out. If we connect with that creative part of ourselves, we're able to heal a little bit easier, I think. Sorry about getting too deep here, but hope I'm not getting too deep.
Far from it, actually.
Great, great. Oh man.
Hey,
Yeah.
as long as you don't talk about some UFOs coming to take us back to Uranus, it's okay.
I guess we won't go there. Yeah. Man, I was going to talk about that, but yeah, I guess not. Oh man. Oh man.
My goodness, my goodness. So not only with the writing being more sacred to you, so what helped you to also really, I guess, finally get over that, I guess, I guess caring what other people think? Because I feel like a lot of folks could probably use some advice that may have helped you to possibly help them. Because a lot, especially nowadays with social media, it's like, oh God, I don't even want to press the letter A on like Facebook or Twitter. They might curse me out or something.
Yeah, one big hang up I know I had was comparing myself to other people, that was a huge thing for me. It took a long time for me to get over that and not do that so much. I think all the way into art school, I kept comparing myself to others and thinking how I should be better at this or better at that. I think that's one of the things that we as artists and creative people, we need to get over. We really need to stop comparing ourselves with each other and just not accept, but, celebrate yourself for who you are, and just know that we are each very individual beings. And like one thing that Les Roberts, a native Cleveland author, one thing that he said in one of my writing classes was, nobody else can tell your story. I love that. I love that statement. And it's so very true. Someone else might have a similar idea to yours, but no one else can do it the way you are going to do it, whether it's in art or whether it's in writing. And as far as getting back to that question of yours with, just maybe getting to confidence, gaining confidence as an artist or and I don't know, I wonder if I ever really, I'm trying to ask myself if I ever went through that particular issue. I just know that for sure I put myself down a lot and didn't, it was hard for me not to compare myself to others. Another thing I had trouble doing was accepting compliments from other people. I know that's something that my son is having trouble doing right now as a teenager, and he's getting into art, and he keeps putting himself down whenever I try to compliment him, or whenever anyone tries to compliment him on his art, he puts himself down. And someone told me a long time ago, you really shouldn't do that, because in a way it kind of insults the person who has just given you a compliment. And that really hit me hard as an individual, because I certainly didn't mean to do that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings or insult anyone, so that statement hit me really hard when I heard that. And I think that's what started to make me think, okay, I'll give it a try. I'll try to accept the compliment. and the more it takes practice, it just, like everything else, it just takes practice. And as far as not comparing yourself to others, that takes practice too. Any kind of habit that you have that is harmful to you, it takes practice, letting go of it and changing your habits, changing your speaking habits and allowing people, learning to say thank you instead of putting yourself down when someone compliments you or your work. And as far as, I did feel very, when it came to my writing, it was, like you said, it was very precious to me. It was really hard for me to accept criticism. And I think that was because it was hard for me to separate myself from the craft. There was so much of myself in my writing. And when it came to my art, for some reason, it was easier for me to separate myself from it. So I think the reason why you're precious about something is because you've got so much of yourself in it. And when someone starts to criticize it, then it's like they're criticizing you. And I think that's why it's so hard for artists to accept criticism. Because, the truth is, when you're creating something, it is personal. It's hard not to, it is personal. That's just the way it is. Unless you're a commercial artist like I am. I guess as a commercial artist, I've learned not to do that with my art, but that's because it's commercial art. Like if I was a fine art painter, then I don't think I'd have any choice but to put myself into my art. It would be a very difficult thing, I think, to separate myself. And for me, writing is the same thing. And I feel like the only way as a writer, maybe that it might be easier to accept criticism, is if you're a ghostwriter or something and you're writing someone else's story. It's less personal in that way. It's not coming 100% from you, or you're writing for a job. But if you're writing your your memoir or a novel, this story that is 100% you put into it, as far as your passions, your interests, your words, your ideas, your everything, it does make it a lot harder to accept criticism. And we as creative people, it's just harder in order to not feel that way, in order for to not allow that criticism to get to you. Unfortunately, you do have to at least distance yourself in that moment from your work when the criticism comes to you, and realize that the criticism isn't about you. It's about the craft. It's about the words. It's about the words on the page. It's not you. It's not me. You have to tell yourself, this is not about me. This person is critiquing my work. And it's just really, really hard for creative people to do that, to separate yourself from your work. And that really is, I think as creative people, we just have to remember that, just be mindful of it. And it doesn't mean, so, it doesn't mean that you have to separate yourself from your work all the time. And you're like, it's not, it's not, it's not all black and white. There's that, you can mix. Of course, you have to put yourself into your work. You have to, depending what it is you're working on. Yeah, yeah. Because me as a professional illustrator, I do illustrations for this company where I create art for bags and scarves and things like that. It's art that's printed on these different products, and they tell me what they want, and I create it. So it's much less personal in that kind of situation, because this isn't something that I wanted to do. This is something that someone is telling me they want to do. And as art directors, people do need to be a little careful of how they talk to artists. That's for sure. That's when some sensitivity needs to be addressed, because you never know what kind of artist you're talking to if you're an art director. Because even the professional artists, the commercial artists, they are still artists. And as creative people, overall creative people are sensitive individuals. So yeah, when distributing criticism, yeah, it's always good for anyone in whatever situation it is to be gentle and and courteous to the person who's receiving it, for sure.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Dude, that's right indeed. That's right. Gotta be gentle, y'all. That's right. Gotta use that gentle pillow, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right
Mm,
indeed. And just pull the 2x4 out the pillow and then whack them across the head. It's like, all right. When they wake up, they will have new levels of creativity. That's right.
yeah,
And if they didn't see my face, I won't get the lawsuit.
yeah, that's right. Oh man. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely right about the compliment thing, and I'm actually glad I learned about it in my 20s. Heck, still probably deal with it every now and then, but just saying simply thank you and just acknowledging it, just 2 words, thank you, and just going about your day. It's definitely, it takes work, but hey, being
Yeah.
able to get better with compliments. And some people are like, compliments, I don't like those. How dare you try to use flattery against me? I'm like, dude, it was legit. Like, stop being a spaz.
Yeah. Stop being a spaz, exactly. Like, come on, just take the compliment and go with it, all right? Yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah.
That's right indeed. So my goodness, so this is basically your whole career on top of everything else. So the book writing, then the freelance illustrating, like my goodness. So what led you to go down that road with the freelance illustrating and being able to really, I guess, create all these wonderful mass produced art for folks who want to put it on handbags and all that wonderful smooth jazz?
Yeah. Well, was working for American Greetings actually for 10 and a half years as a product designer there. And I was one of those, of course, companies, they have layoffs all the time. And my department knew that we were going to be downsized. So we knew the end was coming for us. But of course, when the end finally comes, when that day finally comes, you're never quite prepared for it. But I was kind of preparing myself a little bit, doing some freelance on the side, just so that when the day finally came, I wouldn't be completely shocked, and completely unprepared. But yeah, I started my freelance career a little bit before I was laid off. And took me a while because while I was employed at the corporate place, I I didn't really do a lot of freelance art other than my caricature work that I do for parties and events and stuff. But that wasn't the kind of freelance that I wanted to do full time. So I did freelance illustration for a lot of different companies, kind of hopped from here to there, and never really got anything consistent. And that's kind of the way the freelance life is. And then finally, I got lucky with, of all things, I think it was a Craigslist ad of all things. You don't expect anything like that to actually work out like as this full-time job that keeps you busy for years. But it ended up being the luckiest break for me, because it ended up being a company that they just they needed an artist. And I thought, okay, I'll give this a try, because I was giving everything a try at the time. And luckily, this particular client is one of those golden clients that every freelance illustrator wishes for, that basically keeps them busy all year long. And that's really rare, because as a freelance artist, you usually hop from job to job, and you have a handful of clients that keep you busy here and there, that you always, get work from. But there's usually not a situation where there's one client that just keeps you busy all the time. So that's been magnificent. I think I've been working for them for about 5 years now. Probably no, actually, I think longer than that. But it's been great. Yeah, so I illustrate. Yeah, so I illustrate stuff for these bags and these shoppers, and gift items that you can find at zoos and national parks and that kind of stuff, at all the gift shops. So pretty fun, very fun. And really, it's interesting because it's not something I ever planned. That's an interesting thing also about when it comes to the creative careers. I didn't plan to work at American Greetings to design Christmas ornaments when I graduated from art school. That I graduated from art school with an illustration degree, and I just didn't know what I was going to do. But my goal was to have a full-time job so I could have that stability. I did not want to be a freelancer. So that was my thing. And then the whole freelance thing just kind of happened for me. And at the time, my kids were very, very young. They were not even toddlers yet, like barely toddlers. And so it just kind of worked out. I realized, you know what, this freelance career actually it does work out for me right now, because I can be here more for my kids. I don't have to worry about asking for sick days, that kind of thing. So it was just so much not what I was expecting. I did not expect it to be something that I wanted. I kept looking for full-time jobs, but it really did seem like the freelance life is what God wanted for me. you know, kept trying, came really close to getting this amazing job in Texas at as a product designer for Michaels. And I like came so close. They said that they were going to give me an offer, and then all of a sudden there was nothing. It was so funny. There was like that. I didn't hear from them for like 2 weeks. I'm like, what happened? And they said, well, all of a sudden they decided to change the direction of the company or something. And I was like, okay, I guess there goes that opportunity that I thought I had, which is totally fine, because here I am and I am very happy about where I am right now. I'm very happy to be still working for this client that appreciates me and I appreciate them. And it's great. And I what's also nice is as a freelancer, I get to also, my time is my own. I can choose what time of the day I'm going to work on their stuff and what time of the day I'm going to work on my books and the projects that I do for other people. Like now, even though they're my main client, I love keeping myself busy, helping other people with their books. And I've finally started collaborating with other authors and illustrating their books and helping them put their books out. So if I had a big corporate job that kept me so busy all the time, then I wouldn't have the energy to do that kind of stuff, I don't think. So it's funny how things work out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely can say that again. It's so true indeed. So, any advice for those aspiring freelance artists out there looking to embrace their creativity? Besides
Mm.
getting lucky and finding the golden goose.
Well, I hate to steal from someone else, but I have to with that. I remember if you can go on YouTube and check out this speech by Neil Gaiman, the author Neil Gaiman, check out his commencement speech that he gave on Make Good Art, I think is the title of the speech. So if you look at Neil Gaiman on YouTube, Make Good Art commencement speech, you will find some really inspiring stuff. And one of the things that he said in that speech that I love is, well, I can't, I'm just going to paraphrase because I can't remember his exact words, of course, but think of your goal as this mountain in the distance. And basically, the path that you take, just make sure that every path you take takes you in the direction of that mountain in some way. You might stray from that mountain every once in a while, but just keep, like, for example, when I was in the very, very beginning stage of my creative career, I guess you'd say, my very first job when I was in college was doing caricatures at an amusement park. I made the decision. I was like, I want to, like, yes, I could, work at a bookstore or something like that. And I was thinking that for a little while because I love writing, but I knew that art was going to be my career. So I was like, you know what? I want to at least be doing something involving art. And even even at the part of my life when things were before I actually got my job at the corporate as a corporate designer, I was working at a frame shop, framing art. So at a custom frame shop. So I thought, well, at least I'm still using my design sensibilities in some way. I'm still working towards that mountain. That mountain is way, 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 way in the distance. I know it is. But if I stray away from the path that I want to take, then it might be hard to get back on, you know. And I think that's one of the things that Neil Gaiman does say in his speech too. It's like if you do stray away from that path, it can be difficult to get back on the right path again. So keep your eye on the prize, which is, your ultimate goal, whatever your ultimate dream is, how crazy it might seem. At least, you don't have to jump right in that water right away. You take baby steps towards that mountain. It's in the distance, and just keep your eye on that mountain in the background, and just know that every step you take in that direction in some way, as long as you stay in that direction, you'll eventually make it. That's the best I can say with that.
There you go. That's right
All
indeed.
right.
That's right indeed. Stay focused, y'all. That's right indeed. Stay focused indeed. Laser focus. That's right. All the laser pointers indeed. So
Hmm.
my goodness, so since you got a show of your own interviewing other creatives and you've been on a few of these podcasts promoting the wonderful work you're doing, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often?
Well, that's a good one. I can't think of anything. Let's see. Well, all I can say is I love talking about this subject, basically. I love talking about writing. I love talking shop. I guess I say that all the time. I love talking shop with people because, especially about my writing and my books. I love talking about my books. I love talking about writing and the love of writing and just sharing that with people who feel the same way about it because it's something I don't get at home. my kids, they're teenagers, they don't care. They don't, my main conversation in my house is okay, whatever. Stupid mom, what does she know? So it's like anytime I get to talk to grown-ups or anyone who's interested in hearing about how much I love writing and how much I love writing books and creating art. I just love sharing, I just love to share and I want to share more and more. I guess that's why I created the podcast because it really is so much fun uh, listening to other people who have the same dreams as I do, and but they have different paths as well, and their stories are very interesting. And I love learning from other people and just hearing their stories of adversity and how they've overcome, their adversity in their lives. You just learn so much from hearing those stories. So yeah, if I wanted to hear a question more than ever, it's like, hey, can we talk about writing together? Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and just talk about it because isn't it great? Isn't it great? Yeah, it's great. I love it. Oh,
That's right. It's great indeed. Well, speaking of
yeah.
great, I'm pretty sure there might be folks listening and maybe thinking, you know what? I need to get into the kids' book business side of the game, get to the schools, getting into their minds,
Mhm.
and may need a good illustrator. So, any advice for those aspiring authors who may want to publish a children's book, or even a children's book series, need a darn good illustrator? Any advice or things to basically be warned about?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a good one actually there because I was just talking to someone about that yesterday. It's very important to understand that, well, first of all, think about what kind of illustration you want for your book. Google, just Google children or go into a bookstore and look at the different illustration styles out there and take pictures of the books that really match your vision of what you want your book to look like, and then find the illustrator that matches that style. Whether it might not be the illustrator that actually did although you could reach out to that particular illustrator as well, but just you go online and look for the illustrator that matches your vision. I think that's definitely a better thing to do than to find any illustrator and try to get them to match the style that you want, because it will go very much more difficult if you do it that way. Also, another thing to think about is the more intricate the illustration style that you want, the longer it's going to take, which of course then equals more money. you know. So, uh, illustrations, when I illustrate a book, I've got this style that thank goodness, the style that I use for my client is the same style that I use for my books, as far as the technique, I should say, the technique that I use. But the style, of course, is very different. But I use a very loose, cartoony style, and therefore it can just take me sometimes only 3 months to illustrate a book. But a more complicated project and a more complicated book, the more characters you have, the more characters you want illustrated, the more scenes you want to have in your book, that will take an illustrator longer to create. So think about the fact that it could take them up to a year or longer to illustrate your book, depending on how much detail you want to have in that book. And it's good to work with the illustrator, let them give their input, because they're going to have some ideas. That I think the good thing about illustration is you can is to not just illustrate the words, not just tell the story exactly the way the author has written it, but to put those things in the story that are between the words, to create the ambiance that the author wants for that book. Add some little playful things in the background that the author might not have mentioned, little things for the readers to find, and to discover on their own while they read the book. So keep that in mind. Let those illustrators, give them a little bit of free reign, there. I think that's really important. But as an illustrator, I have an advantage, because since I'm an illustrator and a writer, when I work with a writer, at least I already know that I want to respect the author and I want to respect their vision. And I'm lucky that way, that at least I have that sensibility, that I know I want to, that this is our book, not just the author's book, not just my book. It's our book, and we have to work together to make it work and make it a beautiful piece of magic.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Solid tips right there, and I love the fact that you mentioned, hey, let's take some photos of some other possible books for some inspiration as well, and knowing which type of style you want your book to be. Because, hey, like a lot of folks may think, oh yeah, just draw something, it'll be beautiful, I know what you do. But it's like, hey, there's the Japanese style, manga style that's really popular nowadays, and it's like, hey, that may be someone else's expertise and not yours.
True.
It's like knowing what you want your vision to manifest as. So definitely solid advice indeed. Well, and speaking of great magic, if you're given a giant canvas the size of Texas, literally, what would be your wonderful idea for creating?
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, man. Well, I'm one of those fruity people who loves like rainbows and unicorns and stuff like that. I just love colorful things. So I would probably just, like I did with my little creativity cave here, where I'm sitting and talking to you. I went wild. I painted all over the walls and created these little like rainbow stripes around the top of the walls, and and painted the words love, be brave, live your life, live big, don't worry, be happy, with little flowers and happy faces and hearts and all that kind of stuff. I would just go crazy if I had something like that. And it would be fun. It would be this work in progress, where just like every day I would go to that canvas and paint a phrase that inspires me. And just, oh man, that would be so much fun. I have this dream that someday I'll sand down a white car and just paint it. Go to and just have this crazy hippie looking car that's got these colors and flowers all over it. Oh boy, yeah, I'm one of those people.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. I love creative people.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
That's right, indeed. That'll be a lifetime project. I mean, that's at least probably a good 2,000 miles of canvas.
That'd be an enormous project. But man, yeah, it might be, and I might be like, oh, maybe I'll be too selfish doing it all myself, since there's so much space. It'd be like, hey, come on, everybody, let's do this together. It'd be like this collaborative thing and see what happens. That would be pretty darn fun.
Heck yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Especially if they allowed you to have cloning technology. Be like, it's a Wendy tribe.
Oh, man, I wish I had that right now. Oh, that would would be amazing. I really need that. Really, really need that. Oh my gosh. Ah,
Well,
yeah.
since we're still in the fantasy space, if your wonderful book series somewhere in between was a food, what would it be and why?
Hmm. Let's see. I think it would be dark chocolate covered, some kind of dark chocolate candy bar with maybe dried cranberries in it and um, let's see, of course, definitely some nuts. It's got some sweet tangy stuff in it with the dried cranberries and some dried fruits and well, that was starting to make me think of that chunky bar, even though that's milk chocolate. That chunky bar is kind of like a good, yeah, that's a good comparison. It's got all this chunky, fun stuff in it, covered with chocolate. But mine would be dark chocolate since it's got the paranormal stuff going on. That's
There
a
you
fun
go.
question.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. So if you want that dark chocolate chunky bar, limited edition, grab both copies of Wendy's books, y'all. Somewhere in between. Grab for your kids. That's right. Some nephews, some nieces, some grandkids. Who knows? They might enjoy it since that seems to be all the rage now. All the
That's
paranormal stuff,
right.
y'all.
Yeah, it's safe for the young reader. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wrote it intentionally for my 12-year-old to enjoy, because my 12-year-old son at the time, I wanted him to, at the time he was 12, I mean. He wasn't a big reader and I wanted to write something that he might actually enjoy reading. And I was successful. I was so happy. He actually loved it. I was like, yes, yes. And I was so happy. And actually, the second book in the series, I can't believe I keep forgetting to mention this to people, but it actually won 2 awards this year. I'm thrilled to death about that. It won Best Teen Book, and the cover won an award as well. So, so thrilled about that. So thrilled. It just gives me even more confidence. It's really nice when something like that happens.
So that makes and you designed the cover yourself too, right?
I designed it. However, I actually had someone else illustrate it. Even It's
Oh.
kind of funny, even though I am an illustrator, because I acknowledged, I was like, you know what? I want a specific look for this cover. I really want it to have this like Stranger Things kind of look to it, and to make it look like this, like a teen fantasy kind of paranormal book. And so I did exactly what I said, which was, I went to the person that I knew had the style that would work, and it was perfect. I was just so happy, and she's my go-to gal now for that particular series. It's like, yeah, yeah, love it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because I was about to say, oh shoot, she's a dual threat, y'all. She's double champion. She could charge higher prices, baby.
Yeah,
Award-winning writer and illustrator,
and
all in the
illustrator.
same human.
Hopefully, maybe next year, maybe next year I can get the illustration award going for myself.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. Wendy the double champion. That's
that'd
right.
be awesome. Oh my gosh.
She's like, all right, higher prices, y'all. Double champion. I got
Well,
an award from a writing and my illustrating.
I guess technically, come to think of it, one of my picture books actually this year also won 3 awards. I keep forgetting that because, like, once again, I didn't write the book, but I illustrated it and I designed it. So of course, with picture books, that means a lot, and I keep forgetting to give myself credit for that, just because I didn't write the book. but I have to constantly remind it, this is our book. So, and it won 3 awards. It's like, yeah, I guess I am an award-winning illustrator after all. Like, I have to keep giving myself that credit. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Oh man. So yeah, maybe I should charge more. I'm just kidding.
There we go, double champion. She's double champion for real. It has been confirmed. She is the cream because the cream rises to the top, y'all. That's right. That's right indeed. She's the icing to all your cupcakes, y'all. She's the cream. That's right. That's right indeed. She's double champion. Double champion Wendy Fedan. That's right. That's right indeed.
I'm gonna make a recording of everything you just said and just play it over and over for myself whenever I feel like a failure or something. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's right. The F in your last name stands for fantastic. It doesn't stand for failure. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Because us artists, us creative people, we always have those moments where oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? It's like, I'm an idiot. Everyone's gonna hate me. I know. I just think all creative people have those imposter syndrome moments.
Well, hey, you get all the heart emojis here.
Yeah.
That's right indeed.
Thank
That's right
you.
Indeed. You get all the heart emojis here. That's right. You're welcome back on this show anytime. I love your freaking energy. That's right. That's right. We need to have you here more often. So we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is, if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're in 2022 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh man, this is probably the most common answer of everyone. I'm assuming, but don't worry. Stop worrying so much, because that was so me. For my whole life, I worried about everything. I worried about, I worried about my future. I worried about what path I was on. I worried, do I suck? Do I and just, stop comparing myself to everybody and don't worry so much. Just live every day. Just live your day. Live your day and just enjoy the now. Don't worry so much about tomorrow. Enjoy what you're doing right now and do the best with what you have right now. And just do that every day. Just do it every day. And man, I wish I could go back and just pound that into my brain. Yeah.
There you go. Well, you can pound it in your brain now forever. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Yeah. Hashtag fabulosity. That's right. Pound the fabulosity into yourself. That's right. Remind yourself. That's right indeed. That's right. Just picture that pink golf ball inside of your mind. It'll work. That's right indeed. For no reason. That's right indeed. Yeah. But it ain't about pink golf balls, it's about the wonderful Wendy. So for those that need to keep in contact with you, maybe even bring her up for some wonderful children's book illustrations and all wonderful good stuff that you do, what's the best way for folks to do so?
Well, I've got this new website for myself called www.cawpublishing.com. That's CAWpublishing.com, and the CAW stands for Create a Way. That is my slogan for sure. It's if there doesn't seem to be a way, create a way. So yes, CAWpublishing.com. So you can find all my books there and pretty much everything I do. Although of course, I have some other websites here and there, but that's my main one. So please come take a visit. Hop on there and check out my books and see if anything catches your fancy.
Woohoo! That's right indeed. When it catches your fancy, it'll tickle your feet, y'all, because it'll be that darn good. That's right indeed. So head over to that wonderful website. We're going to put it in the show notes. You heard it from the double champion herself. If you can't find a way, create a way, darn it. That's right indeed. Make that new path and leave that trail, y'all. Heck, maybe even carry some trail mix too. And leave that as some breadcrumbs, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. And then if you find a Toastmaster on the way and you got those breadcrumbs, you're a double bread, y'all. That's right. Double loaf. That's right. Double loaf. Well, before we're going deeper down that rabbit hole.
We should talk about dropping loaves.
Oh.
Oh man. Oh. Oh my gosh, sorry.
Dropping loaves. This is gold.
Oh man. Oh.
She's a gold star guest, y'all. So any parting words before we close up shop, Wendy?
Oh, I just want to say, Dom, I'm so happy to be here. It's been a joy talking to you. Like I says, like, man, anytime I get to talk to people about the stuff I love, I'm just in heaven. So thanks for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thanks a bunch for sharing some of your time out of your day to listen to the Going North podcast. I would be really honored if you head over to the website goingnorthpodcast.com and share this episode with someone that you care about. And also, for bonus points, if you like, click on the shop tab on the website and grab some gear, advance others to advance yourself if you haven't already. Have a great rest of your day and keep advancing north to your greatness.